I'm Taylor, Taylor Winters, and I work with Winter in Seattle.
I'm Matt Fordham. I work at Winters in Seattle, and I'm a developer there. The biggest challenges that we've had have been the collaboration between designers, developers, stakeholders, marketing departments. The developers seem to have a good grasp of the technology fairly easily, but having everybody understand what's possible and what's feasible is the challenge.
Yep. And I think as a designer, understanding those challenges and actually coming to terms with, I'm not now designing for device specific, so I'm not designing necessarily for iPhone versus desktop. I'm doing what's best for the design, is an interesting paradigm shift. And so it can at first appear to be a landmine and scary. I have to design for all of these different device widths. But then it becomes more comfortable when you understand I'm starting at a lowest common denominator, which our philosophy is starting with mobile or narrowest and then increasing the width of your design and just doing what looks better and better and better so that the end user, consumers, are getting the best and most optimized experience no matter what device they're on.
For the most part, it was about working together. So having the developers and the designers work as collaborative teams throughout the entire process wherever possible. So not having the designer work in isolation and then handing off the developer to in turn work in isolation. Having the developers be part of the initial creative direction meetings. Having the developers be consulted when the designer is not totally sure if something they're thinking is going to be feasible as a responsive design. And then having the designer just kind of be around and checking in as the development is taking place. And in the midst of all that, doing prototypes as a team, as necessary, as questions arise, see if something works. So basically, by collaborating and by sort of trying to understand each person's point of view, the process goes much, much more smoothly.
And what we were trying to accomplish too with our talk today was to arm teams with tools to educate each other. So not sure of who necessarily is sitting in the room, whether it's designers, developers, or project managers, or business owners, but attempting to explain maybe the things that are unexplained. So what do you need to know that you may not already know in order to tackle this challenge?
We talked in our, part of our talk was sort of going over some of the basic responsive design patterns and providing some resources for people to go to just to kind of see a bunch of different responsive designs and design patterns quickly. So I think just having people see what's out there and learn a little bit of what's possible is the easiest way to accomplish it. Just to show people some examples, it communicates it far better than anything else.
Yeah. Exactly. Looking at what's out there and then understanding the basic patterns. It's helpful to look at blocks of color that don't have any design yet on it and understanding, I have a general understanding of my content and that seems right, that feels right.
Probably the best one is media queries. It's mediaquery.es.
Yeah.
So it's media query spelled out with a dot before the es. It's basically a showcase site of responsive web designs, and there's hundreds on there, and they're laid out in a way that makes it really easy to see how things change with different browser dimensions. That's one of the better resources that we've come across because its job is to, or its goal is to showcase just that.
I mean, I think I see it as being something that's not going to work for everyone and every end client, but I think that it's something that's going to become more and more adopted just because it's impossible to design for every single device and to then update for every single device. And so this is a efficient way to kind of get ahead of that issue.
I think that it will become more the norm in marketing stuff for sure, where you want to reach a lot of people quickly with one broad stroke. And I think it lends itself really well to that because you simply want to present the same content just in a slightly more optimized way. It's a little trickier, I think, to work it into sort of product design where a mobile user may have very, very different needs than a desktop user with a given product. So in that case, it may not be as readily adopted or perfect, and maybe it won't be ever. That's fine. But certainly for like, we found for like regular marketing stuff and the campaign stuff that we do, where a client needs something fast and needs something really wide.
They cover a lot of bases.
Yeah, they're wanting to cast a wide net. They don't have a lot of time, and they don't want to have a bunch of different versions of something. It's perfect for that, and I think that it will become the norm for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.